How do you think you and your organisation are minimising the risk of serious harm to all of your coal mine workers? As a leader, how are you providing a positive influence to all of your coal mine workers? How many moments of self-reflection do you have on the safety and health performance of your organisation and your area of responsibility? Is this only when an accident has occurred? Or there has been serious harm? Please remember that you are the risk owners. The regulator is the risk auditor. Being a data-driven regulator, we will clarify the safety and health performance with data from our industry with the aim of triggering a change to improve safety and health of all coal mine workers and inform you of improvement strategies being implemented by RSHQ. The serious accident frequency rate for the coal sector has seen an overall 33% reduction. However, there has been a 35% increase in the underground serious accident frequency rate. Why is this increasing? Does this represent your underground mine? Good news, there's been a 50% reduction in the open cut serious accident frequency rate. What is happening at your site to improve safety in your work activities? How are you sharing your improvement strategies? However, we have had 55 serious accidents since March 2022. These consist of many causes, the majority being hand and finger injuries. However, many of these are repeats of previous accidents. Some even been at the same mine. Dozers falling off edges. Coal mine workers being struck by falling coal ribs. Coal mine workers being pinned between vehicles and plant. How close were these to being fatalities? Sadly, we are approaching the anniversary of the last fatality, where Gavin Feltwell lost his life in a lifting and slinging accident. Sadly, lifting and slinging accidents continue to happen in our industry. What have you done to prevent these incidents at your mine and address the drift to failure in this area? The high potential incident frequency rate for the coal sector has seen an overall increase of 18%. Is our industry starting to follow the principles of being an HRO? There has been a 57% increase in the underground HP IFR. Are the underground operations adopting transparency in reporting of HPIs? The open cut HPI frequency rate has also seen an increase of 19%. This indicates a correlation of increased reporting and a reduction in serious accidents in this area. Is this representative of what's happening at your site? However, a very recent incident at an open cut mine from dozer brush operations, where a disorientated dozer driver followed the red path indicated and went through a safety bund indicated by the blue line and ended up at the bottom of a power trough from the previous blast, 10 metres down. The dozer ended up inside the primary standoff zone of the unscaled eye wall, and the dozer operator was instructed to leave the area for his own safety. The person reporting this, not the SSE, believed this was an NRI. However, there are multiple HPIs evident. I would ask, how are you ensuring the persons you've delegated at your site to report HPIs and serious accidents understand the legislation and reporting requirements? How do you think the Inspectorate perceive the management of safety and health at your mine site when something like this happens and you cannot see the wood for the trees? From an industry From the perspective of industry compliance, what does the journey towards improving safety and health in our industry look like? The continuing trend in the increase in directives and SCPs on the graph would indicate that this is not the case. There is an upward trend in the failure to manage risk in both open cut and underground operations. How many precursor events do you need to increase the sensitivity to the ineffectiveness of the controls that are failing at your operations? There have been 58 instances of directive to suspend operations due to an immediate risk. This is an increase of 107% from the previous financial year, where there were 28 of these directives issued. The doubling of these directives is evident in both open cut and underground operations. How does this demonstrate your resilience in preventing unacceptable levels of risk? Supervision has been one of our key focus areas for field activities in the last 3 years, where supervisor assessments are still indicating that supervision is still a key issue in our inspection findings. There are only marginal increases in field activities observed in the last calendar year, where the number of supervisors have also, with COMCHAT competencies, has reduced. This has not been a compliance exercise by the regulator. The amber and red in the field observations correlates with the causal factors identified in the Brady report. RSHQ investigation findings correlate with the shortcomings with deficiencies in frontline supervision and risk management, which are still sadly lacking. Add this to the poor safety and health management system compliance and procedural documentation that's not evident for activities being conducted, the outcomes are reasonably foreseeable. How are your felt leadership and peer-on-peer inspectors reflecting this in your workplace? What do your statistics say about this? What amount of data for these matters do you need to create chronic unease and implement some step changes? Because there's 3 years worth of data there and it's still saying the same. The vision for RSHQ is zero serious harm to occur in our industry. To help industry achieve this, we engage with all stakeholders in various mandatory and regulator-driven improvement initiatives. To achieve our purpose, we regulate, educate and assist our stakeholders in industry to meet their obligations, to protect and promote the safety and health of persons from risks identified in your safety and health management systems. We have aligned the safety and health initiatives implemented with our 3 principles from the RSHQ strategic plan to help industry achieve this. These areas are summarised as shown and detailed as follows. In providing effective risk-based regulation, RSHQ has implemented the following initiatives. The risk process is in development after feedback, which has been discussed in detail by Rob Dukic. The Central Assessment Processing Unit has been developed to assist industry in reporting HPIs and serious accidents to improve data analytics. This has been described in detail by Nick Alstrand. The project for critical controls was initiated following the Brady review and the Board of Inquiry recommendations. An analysis of fatal accidents in the coal mine industries across the globe was undertaken by RSHQ. This focused on single and multiple fatality accidents that have occurred in Australian coal mining, in particular since the introduction of risk-based legislation. This also included other principal and fatal hazards where a loss of control has led to major incidents in Queensland. These were without loss of life, however the potential for this was evident. From the 10 material unwanted events, the bow ties for these hazards were developed, which resulted with an extra 2 material unwanted events being developed due to the risk profile of the critical control, which identified similar hazards which needed to be addressed. Field testing of the critical control performance standards has commenced, with a final audit process to include the newly developed software program for analysis and reporting of data. These audits will become part of our regulatory activities in the next financial year. In the drive to be an exemplar expert regulator, RSHQ has implemented the following initiatives. The Serious Incident Investigation Unit has been implemented with a central resource pool of investigating officers. This will result in expediting investigation processes which will allow the call inspectors to focus on the nature and cause, whilst the SIIU focus on compliance matters. The Coal Inspectorate has also conducted a number of forums for stakeholders this year, these being the MEMs, EEMs, occupational hygienists and ERZ controllers. There were over 280 ERZ controllers attended these forums, some of which presented and shared experiences from their operations. This received very positive feedback. The quarterly VO meetings, ventilation officers, are also increasing in attendance and knowledge sharing, which is a good thing. OCE forums are being conducted this week and next week. There is an MEM, open cut SSE and underground SSE forums in May, which have been announced and circulated. We appreciate your support in allowing your employees to attend these events and encourage you to share information for the good of industry. The Board of Examiners has seen a number of candidates attaining ERZ controllers and OCE certificates, where there was a significant increase in this. However, there's been a decrease in the last 2 years. The number of first-class applicants is still a concern. There's been a marginal increase in second-class candidates, and there's been an obvious increase in ventilation officers due to the regulatory deadlines that were imposed on industry. What I would ask is, what strategic initiatives are you implementing in your life and mine planning processes to address future statutory qualification requirements? For promoting improved safety and health, RSHQ has implemented initiatives with regards to the Level 1 exercise. From the previous Level 1 exercise, assessors identified that the time and scale of the Level 1 emergency exercises were a significant impediment to the adequate testing of both the host mine and QMRS's safety and health management systems. A particular concern was how data was being analysed in the risk management process to determine how the deployment and information that were transferred to the incident management team to make a robust decision to move forward in that process. To ensure future Level 1 exercises effectively test both areas and enhance learning opportunities for industry, the Level 1 committee decided to adopt a format that it resulted in the exercise being conducted as 2 distinctly separate events. This was, again, intended to test the effectiveness on 2 separate days, one with a QMRS-focused event, the other with an IMT-focused event. From ComShat recommendations, the 2024 Level 1 exercise will be an open cut event, with open cut personnel invited to participate in the 2023 Level 1 exercise. To assist industry in the management of reasonably foreseeable hazards, the Coal Inspectorate has deferred to expertise to provide the most appropriate contemporary solutions for the management in risk in the matters that were identified that required controls that would need to be implemented in a stated way. The review of the recognised standards for spontaneous combustion and training were generated from Board of Inquiry recommendations and were conducted under the new development process as detailed by the arrow above. The underground electrical equipment and electrical installation, use and control of polymeric chemicals at underground coal mines, control of risk management practices and tyre rims and reviews were commenced under the previous process. These are at the stages indicated on the slide. There are 2 industry consultation periods in this for industry stakeholder feedback before finalisation and submission to the Minister for gazettal.